Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vitvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hey everyone. Thank you so much for being with me on my Yatra, on our journey, the journey to the Divine Self. As a gentle reminder, we began this journey with the meaning of the word Yatra. The Sanskrit word is made up of two different words, Ya and Tra. Ya is movement and Tra is reaching liberation. Any movement at the body, mind, intellect level that liberates us is called a yatra. So we've been on this journey for almost 6 months now that I've shared with you where I came from, where am I going, where are we headed. And today's episode is going to be special because we are going to see both the past that we came from, the old us, and the future version of what we stepped, or rather what I stepped into. So on today's journey, this is a journey that's going to begin with a conversation that I really wish me as a 16-year-old, somebody would have told me this. So if I had a chance to go back and talk to my 16-year-old self, this is what I would tell her. Because this is what I've figured out after decades of leading digital transformations. I've realized that the most profound change isn't in the technology. It's all within us. That's the inner transformation. And here's the truth. You are enough. This is the truth, and it's very simple, but it's very revolutionary. You are enough. I know you've heard this before many, many times probably, but think about it really. We spend so much time looking outside for that validation, outside ourselves. And we play this endless blame game, right? Everything is broken, something is not right because of something, someone, someplace, something outside of us. So it's like we are just stuck, almost like being anchored and unable to move forward. But here's the thing. We are already equipped with everything we need. We have it inside of us. We have the toolbox. It's like having a garden full of seeds that you've planted, but we're too busy looking over the fence waiting for someone to give us permission to let our garden grow, right? So that should not be the case. Now, if I were to tell my 16-year-old self one thing, it would be to stop handing over my power. You've probably heard about this great wealth transfer, the generational shift of trillions of dollars in financial assets that women are about to inherit. But have you thought about the great handover of the personal power that we've been doing? What I'm talking about is a far more critical inheritance. Your capacity for self-trust, leadership, and unshakable worth. But we've been so conditioned to immediately transfer these core assets outward. It's almost like we want a cosigner on our value before we even accept it ourselves. But to become that visionary leader, the one who can receive and lead without hesitation, and to accept the abundance that is just waiting for you, you must stop waiting for permission to sit in this CEO chair of your own life. From a very young age, often unconsciously, we teach the pattern of seeking external approval. Think about this, and I'm guilty of this myself too. Let's look at a school project, right? When the child pours their heart into the drawing, the first thing we ask is not like, how do you feel about it? But it's more like, did your teacher like it? What grade did you get? What did your friends think about it? So we're already conditioning the child to stop relying on their own sense of self, but to seek it outside. Or like even when a young woman makes a very bold choice, whether it's in clothing, career, but she's often met with like, what will people think? And I've used this phrase before too, log kya kahenge? Are you sure that's practical? Unconsciously, it's like a coded instruction we play over here to play small and seek the collective consensus. So this kind of constant conditioning teaches us a devastating lie that your work, your joy, and your existence are not inherently valuable until they are rubber stamped by an outside authority. Why do we need that? Right? Why should we hand over the keys to our entire happiness system, our sense of self-worth, to the volatile opinion of others? Why are we doing this? And then, of course, there's also the other people-pleasing behaviors. It's like standing at the doorway of your own life, but we're waiting for someone else to grant us permission to walk in the door or to feel worthy, to feel happy, to take up space. Why? And when other people don't recognize or applaud our efforts, it's not their failure. It's the failure of this faulty system that we've relied upon. Because here's the deal. When you let someone else dictate your worth of fulfillment, you're already playing by a faulty system. It's time to take back that power and stop waiting for someone else to hand it over to you. You always had it, but you gave it away. And that's what you are enough truly means. It's about owning your value, stepping into your greatness without needing any external validation or permission to do so. You with me so far? Because you are worthy. Your value doesn't decrease because of someone else's inability to see your worth. You shouldn't have to play small. Your worth is something you own from the inside, not something that's dictated by the others. It may be a feel-good factor when somebody praises us, but it should not be the driving factor. Self-worth is rooted in your self-acceptance, values, and beliefs. You do not need anyone else to define it for you. And building this inner strength is crucial for self-love and confidence. It's about embracing who you truly are rather than chasing approval or trying to fit into somebody else's version of who we should become. Right? Somebody else's mold may not fit me because then I'm that square peg trying to fit into a round hole. That will not work. So once you recognize this pattern, we often find ourselves then getting on a journey of unlearning all these patterns and beliefs that no longer serve us. And it seems like we spend a lifetime in this brutal cycle of unlearning everything that we have to learn. So let's talk about something more crucial. The cost of what I call, like I'm always looking at the COI, ROIs. COI is, by the way, cost of inaction, just like ROI is a return on investment. So what's this cost of the great handover that we spoke about? When you hand over the keys to your happiness, the cost that you pay for that is living in fear. Handing over your keys, it costs you a lifetime of living in all sorts of fears and anxieties and insecurities. This deep, pervasive anxiety, it acts like a concrete ceiling on your potential, and it convinces you that your dreams are way too big, and worse, you're not capable of achieving them. So this insecurity we have is the root of your self-betrayal. Yourself is the one who wants to break that ceiling and just grow unapologetically. But we don't let it happen. Think about this. Society often nudges us into the background, like urging us to keep playing it small. We are often taught to dim our light, almost apologize for being ambitious, and keep your unique talents and gifts, just like push it under the rug, right? Sometimes we ourselves even downplay our talents because they come to us so naturally, so we don't think it's a big deal, and we brush them aside as like, nah, no big deal. And when people compliment us, we don't even know how to receive those compliments. We just shy away. We know how to give, but we don't know how to receive. And then some of us, me included, have been explicitly asked to stay in your lane, right? And so then you start feeling guilty for wanting more or for craving some exponential growth. But here's the truth. Your external world definitely reflects how you feel internally, right? Again, do not blame the external world for whatever you're facing, because all you need to do is change your mindset, and then you can change your reality, external reality. Because you can't build a castle on a shaky foundation of low self-worth. If your inner mentality tells you you're not worthy, but yet you're trying to live like a king or a queen, of course you can't do that, right? So you operate from a mindset of scarcity. Our choices will reflect that. You will tolerate very toxic relationships because you prioritize keeping peace over keeping your sanity, right? Sanity should be really what should take precedence, but you play it low. You accept exhausting labor and marginal pay because you yourself doubt your market value. You stay in relationships and you cling to comfort zones that are limiting environments, and you sabotage your own chance of true expansion. And then we blame the external world. That's wrong. All we need to do is fix this mindset. So stop shrinking to fit the room, because you deserve to take up space, to shine, to rise and shine, and to live a life of exponential growth. So let's break free from these limiting beliefs and step into the lead roles of our own lives. Now, the real transformation kicks in the moment you decide you're non-negotiable. When you truly grasp your worth, everything else around you changes. Not because the world suddenly sees your greatness, but because you have shifted your mindset and you started believing in your own values. You start demanding excellence in every area of your life. And you walk with this newfound confidence, thinking with clarity, and setting expectations that command respect. So self-worth isn't just a feel-good factor. It isn't just a feeling. It's a declaration of your own sovereignty. It's about making daily, disciplined, consistent choices that lift you up and fiercely protecting your boundaries from anything that pulls you down. It's about you giving yourself permission to chase the life you deserve, even when your past just like tries to hold you back and pull you down. It's forgiving that past version of yourself because, yeah, it worked at one point. Give yourself the permission to chase the life that you want. Chase what your dreams and what your goals are. Even when your past is saying, oh my gosh, I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can. I don't think you can. But tell yourself, I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. Because you know what? Yes, you can. So that past version of you, which worked really well for whatever was in the past, right? Forgive that past. Not because their mistakes were small, but because now your future is so much bigger, better, and just waiting for you to walk into it. So remember this: your dreams, your peace, your health, and your purpose, they aren't just nice to haves, they are essential. They should be your non-negotiables. The time for holding back is over. So stop shrinking to fit the room. It's time to claim your space and let your light shine. Right? Now let's talk about something crucial, like the mandate of self-sovereignty or the call to take charge of your own life. If you want to lead your life with power, you have to start by leading yourself first with compassion. There's this big lie we often tell ourselves that we can keep giving to the world without taking care of ourselves. That doesn't work, because just like charity begins at home, kindness and compassion must start with you, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And to truly commit to this internal leadership, we need to shatter the myths that keep us running on empty. And these myths are like invisible chains. Sometimes they're so subtle thoughts that we don't even realize we are holding on to them. But they are like the shackles that stop us from living to our fullest lives. So let's just take a look at what are some of these myths and how do you start breaking them down systematically. So some myths about your self-priority and how do you transform that into the truth that empowers us. The first myth I would say is like, we all feel guilty about self-priority. Prioritizing myself is selfish is what we've been taught to believe, but the truth is far from that. Self-priority is the foundation of resilience. You're not being selfish. You're filling up your tank so that you can drive the mission. Self-priority is your first step to being truly generous and present for the people you care so much about. Another myth is that self-priority means indulging in spas and shopping, and that's all that the mind can think. But the reality is that it's about setting boundaries and aligning your choices with your passions, talents, and values. While indulgence does have its place, true self-priority means saying no to whatever takes you or drains you away from your goal and dedicating your time to what takes you towards what truly matters and towards your vision. Right? So that's how boundary setting works. Then there's another myth, like I can schedule myself only after I take care of everything else. But the truth is that you must schedule self-care first. If your energy is depleted, like you're running on such a low battery that even relishing successes is not possible. It feels so hollow. And you cannot build an exceptional life when you're running on an empty tank. So make time for not just completing your to-do list and your task list, but make time for pursuing your purpose, your passion, your power. Then another myth is that prioritizing self is like it's a once in a while treat. No, it's not a treat. It's a continuous 24/7 energy management practice, because true transformation happens in that daily mindful protection of your energy and your time. It's not like a annual retreat you go once and for all and then the rest of the 365 4 days you blow it off. No. Those micro decisions that you make every moment, every hour, that's what drives it. And then the final myth is like self-priority is an option, but it's not an option for someone like me. Why? Why should you not make self-priority a priority? It's not optional. It is mandatory. Whether you are a leader, a caregiver, or simply a human being, prioritizing your holistic growth and your whole health is a non-negotiable requirement for sustained impact and happiness. So the true power is not about those big flashy moves. It's about those small, consistent actions that align with who you are. And then when your inner world is balanced and stable, you become resilient against fear and external pressures. That's how you build up your strength and your courage, and you let faith take over the fear. You're not going to work in insecurities anymore. So transformation it's a journey. It's not a destination. And it starts with you have to audit your own choices every moment. Ask yourselves, are my decisions driven by others' expectations, or do they truly reflect my true choices that are aligned to my values, my priorities, my passions? Right? Because the sum of all of those choices, that's where your personal growth happens. And when those are in alignment with your authentic self, that's when the most exponential growth happens, and then you become unstoppable. you can unleash your power in that alignment. That's how strong it is. So some of these micro habits that can have a big impact are like the very first thing when you wake up in the morning. Begin your day with 10 minutes. All it takes is 5 to 10 minutes of intentional silence or movement before diving into that chaos of like constant notifications, checking your emails, wanting to see, what everybody else but you needs, right? So you set your agenda in those 10 minutes. Don't let the world dictate that agenda. Another habit could be like the aligned no, right? Gracefully just decline obligations that don't serve your highest purpose. Remember, no is a complete sentence. What a concept, right? Then have some energy checkpoints. When you start feeling drained, take a 5-minute break. It is absolutely A-okay. It's better to preserve your energy than to recover it later, right? And then have a boundary buffer. So set a strict no work communication kind of time for your mental peace. It's about drawing a line that protects your energy and focus, allowing you to recharge and be more present in your personal life. I had to do that myself in the time when I had my breakdown. My work desk was right next to my bed. So I would wake up, get to work, and I would work till I would fall asleep. That just drained me off, completely drained me off, till we came up with a solution that have your office in a space that has its own boundary. Work from home is great, but then we had to have this boundary of work is in that setting, and once you come down to the family room, then you've left your work back home. I mean, you do not bring it back home over here to the family life. Then also have a daily forgiveness protocol. We often treat ourselves more harshly than we would treat others. Right? We beat ourselves over mistakes. We're so kind to everybody else. We're so compassionate and empathetic and very, very caring for other people, but we do not offer that same care, kind, and compassion to ourselves. So if we make an error, so shift that from feeling shameful to a mindset of growth by saying, okay, it happened. That was the best I knew at the time. And I choose to learn from this. And I choose to matter more than your mistake. You are not defined by your mistake. So this kind of an approach not only fosters self-compassion, but it also empowers you to grow and move forward. Move forward with resilience. Remember, every mistake or a missed step is also an opportunity to learn and evolve. And then last but not the least, also keep auditing what are you consuming, right? Because cut out any content, whatever content you see, listen, or indulge in, check out what is it. Because you shape your online world to mirror the life you want. And be selective about what you let into your mind, because that's what's nourishing your mind. And is it truly nourishing, or is it just feeding junk? You have to decide that, because it shapes your thoughts, and those thoughts eventually become your reality. So what you consume influences your mindset, and then that mindset is what you project out into the world. So your growth really hinges on the integrity of those choices. So start small, but start now, right? All right, so let's wrap up this reflection on looking at the past and shift our gaze forward. We've learned where we've come from, what was the purpose, we've set our destination, we've carved out this roadmap, and we've put in all of this effort, and now it's time to meet your future self. There's always going to be a old me and a new me. I'm going to use my little fella as this was my old me, and this person is going to look at this new me. This is the person I was always striving to become, And I've grown into this beautiful moment. And this is a very precious moment where the old me recognizes the new me. And this is a glorious me that's now talking. So let's dive into this future meeting, and the old me is meeting this new me in a future time frame, right? We always, in the coaching, executive coaching that I've done, we ask them to write a letter to your future self. So this is my letter. It's not a letter, but it's a conversation between the old one and the new one. This is when I met myself. And remember, you are constantly changing. So this is just a dialogue that happened. So I am the future. When I met my old me, I told them that I am the future self you fought so hard to become. And the conversation we have right now is really the reward for every boundary you set, every no you offered, and every moment you chose alignment over just being acceptance. And to meet me, this little fella had to die. The older versions of yourself have to be given up, have to be shed. Death is inevitable. But it's not like death as the dying cessation of life, not that kind of death. Death every moment, dealing with things that don't serve you. You had to let go of what no longer served you to make room for something where you could become who you were meant to be. This journey wasn't about becoming someone else. It was about uncovering the truth beneath all those layers of the past expectations and the limitations and all those narratives that you kept playing in your head. Every step you took closer to this moment where you can stand tall in your authenticity and embrace the future with open arms. So did you have to become a rebel? Absolutely. In a world driven by external validation, stepping away from old routines and relationships can feel draining. And it does feel like being a rebel. Definitely feels like that. But remember, you were never obligated to stay in places that diminished your spirit. So letting go wasn't about being hard. It was just a compassionate act of self-excavation. You choose to stop creating obstacles to your own growth. Okay. So how did you find the courage? That was by choosing faith over fear and taking the smallest, most immediate steps. It wasn't about one giant leap, but it was about those small decisions, those baby steps that eventually led to a journey of 1,000 miles. That morning silence, those quick energy checkpoints, the commitment to learn something new every single day. Those were the baby steps that built this new foundation. And just like water that stays still, it leads to stagnation. Similarly, the constant movement is what keeps your spirit fresh and alive. So what did you shed? Right? What I gave up really was the need for external applause and that victim mentality of the past and the chase for perfection. In my case, these were the 3 fundamental things I had to give up. And I reframed setbacks as real-time data, and I saw them as opportunities to refine my approach. And that level of self-awareness that became my greatest asset in navigating this new territory. So what was your big aha moment? This realization was a game changer. Understanding the law of karma, meaning knowing that every choice has a consequence. It's tempting to follow others because it feels safe, but misaligned choices keep repeating until you choose your path. If you keep walking on somebody else's path that's not meant for you, life will keep throwing so many curves at you until you get back on track for the track that was meant for you. So take responsibility, and taking responsibility is like that compass. That was my north. That was guiding me to being my best self. And then I chose progress over perfection, right? Mistakes aren't failures. That's just a way of life steering you in the right direction. And trust the process, because every step, even the wrong ones, is a part of the journey. You with me so far? Mm-hmm. So was this path linear? The path is rarely linear, and that's where real growth happens. It's messy, it's filled with trial and errors, but each misstep could be a lesson in disguise, right? Decision fatigue hits hard when you're chasing complexity instead of clarity. But investing in yourself consistently, making mindful choices, and believing that your journey's value is key. This journey is sacred. It's really sacred because it leads you to your inner home. It's just like in a temple, the innermost sanctum is the most dedicated area. That's what your inner home is. And having a roadmap that was built on conscious choices, and it made like navigating those choices a little bit easier. And there are many roads that lead home, but having a roadmap built on mindful, conscious choices, that just makes it easier to navigate life and face all the trials and tribulations, because those are inevitable. So what's your superpower now? My superpower now is truly remarkable. I embrace honesty and vulnerability. That's really, really powerful. But having unshakable internal validation is truly, truly transformative. Cannot emphasize that enough. I've realized that while others' disappointments, criticisms, judgment are there, but they are a part of their journey. They should not take up real estate in my mind. So by amplifying my inner voice, I've allowed this outer noise to just like fade away in the background. And this self-prioritization has made accountability second nature, because you know exactly what you're building and for whom. It's for yourself. So success didn't come overnight, but relentless momentum is unstoppable. So that's how I became into this magnificent version of myself. Just keep moving forward. And if I was to give one last piece of advice, the final mandate would be choose you, right? After reflecting on the growth and transformation from who I was to who I am now, it's time to embrace the ultimate truth. And this is the final mandate. Just choose you. Recognize that it takes courage, but also courage is prioritizing your higher self over fear. Fear is inevitable, right? Step into this new chapter with conviction and with self-worth, knowing that every choice to elevate ourselves, it transforms our reality. You have the roadmap. It's there internal. Just listen to your internal voice. Your intuition is there to guide you. You have the tools. Been given a great mind. You have a body. You have the intellect. You have those tools. But the real power is the unshakable truth that courage isn't about being fearless. It's about recognizing that you are more important than any fear. It is the higher version of yourself that you were always meant to be. By consistently choosing self-worth, you unleash a transformational energy that elevates your entire reality. So celebrate your journey, choose yourself every single time, and stop waiting for permission. You already have it. You have those keys. Stop giving it away. So the validation that you should be seeking really is your own. And your transformation begins the moment you reclaim those keys. So let's go make progress and not perfection. Thank you. If this episode resonates with you, please like or follow the channel and share it with someone else who may benefit. Leave me a comment or would love to read your thoughts. send me an email at maneesha@myyatra.vip. I really appreciate you joining me in this journey. May the force be with you. Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.